All right, guys. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Evening Crypto with your boy, the real Sean 256, bringing you another episode of Evening Crypto. Tonight, we have a few things I want to talk about, bring up to you guys in my continuation. Is that a word? In my continuing effort to bring some light into some misconceptions and try to bring some education without trying to be arrogant with that. Trying to bring some education to the less educated in the cryptosphere. If you are somebody who hasn't been here that long and has been just listening to a wide variety of opinions, and a lot of that based on FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. A lot of it based on just wrong assumptions and just misleading information everywhere. This industry is definitely full of that, and if you've been here a while or longer, then you can attest to that as well. It can get very tricky and very hazy really quick. So you really have to watch out for the sources that you're intaking all of your information from, because again, there is just too much misconceptions, and I'll talk about that. One of the things I want to talk about after the TA session here. So if you're not interested in looking at the TA side of things, go ahead and fast forward to the later parts of this video where I'll be addressing number one, who benefits from people panic selling in a downtrend and in a downward price action. Who are the ones benefiting from something like that? And we see that all the time in Bitcoin. Also, want to talk about a particular profile on Instagram that usually gets it pretty right on, but I was very surprised of what they said, uh, talking about Bitcoin reclaiming $10,000 price after U.S. lawmaker says Bitcoin can't be killed. So they're in this scenario again. They're attributing the recent price action to some sort of news or event um, that just happened, and then a pretty famous guy on YouTube also spreading a little bit of FUD and misinformation about how every time the price of Bitcoin dips, Tether prints more tethers to save the day. I'll get into that a little bit. And as a reminder, if you're not following me on Twitter, I usually bring you alerts on price action as well as other things. I do like to get really into debates with what's going on in the industry. So it's pretty entertaining. If you want to follow me there, please do so. Give me a shout out. Let me know you're following the real Shaw 256 on Twitter and Instagram as well. So without further ado, let's look at the current state of the market. We're currently at $287 billion for market cap. We did dip a little bit below that. I think we hit 270 recently. So it's definitely good to see that we are climbing back up to the higher, we're closer to the $300 billion market cap again. Yeah, we did go back and touch the 260s briefly, 269 to be exact. And then this number here, also a number to pay close attention to, 65.9, almost 66. We're at 66.2 earlier in the week, taking back just a tiny bit during this sort of bounce from Bitcoin and the altcoins. So we'll talk about, is this bounce sustainable? Are we going to go up? Are we going to go further down? What is going on? As a reminder, we just try to bring you the best assessment based on what the charts are telling us. I don't have a crystal ball. I can only give you my opinion on things. You don't have to trade my opinion. You don't have to follow my strategy. I just share what I am doing, and I put my money where my mouth is. For those of you who are not aware of or are new to the channel, I used to be a personal financial representative for one of the largest insurance companies under their investments arm. I was a certified financial planner. I had my 6 and 63, and so I've been in financial markets since around 2006. All right, so let's jump into Bitcoin here. I did want to leave the drawings to kind of pick up where we left off during our last video. we had actually drawn these lines of support, these lines of resistance. We were looking at a possible triangle during one of our last videos. In fact, here's our support line here coming up here, and here was our resistance line. We were thinking that we would get a bounce off of this area and come back and retest the resistance, but the Bitcoin did decide to abandon that idea, and it turned out to be more of a descending channel. We can and these things, that's why I don't put a lot of weight on these formations because a lot of times they don't end up panning out. But then it looks like we're in a massive downtrend channel. I mean, this formation could certainly work. And I mean, you see it here because it is starting to come up to the middle of the channel, of the descending channel, and looking like it wants to retest these higher areas. But we could go out on a limb and say that yeah, it's definitely going to go back and retest these prior highs over here. Although there will be resistance at a lower rate or lower price range. Right around here is where I had told you guys that would be my second place, or the second area where I would be de-risking my position within Bitcoin. And this would be our first line. Once we touched 12.1, we would actually start de-risking, and then spot number two, 12,448, and then wait for and then reassess from there, right? We'll definitely have to reassess. If it does break through that, man, I am telling you, this will be an amazing thing to see, like Bitcoin, these sort of runs, right? Let's get a measured move here. If this plays out and Bitcoin happens to break out of this formation, the measured move takes us to about 16,000, guys. So that is something to definitely be paying attention. Definitely keeping your eyes open. It does look like this could play out, right? Again, not financial advice. I'm not guaranteeing that any of this is going to happen. I'm just telling you the possible scenarios. This is the ultra bullish scenario for several reasons. The 200 has served as one of the biggest supporters for the price action during this run for Bitcoin. If we go back to the beginning of April and beyond, actually beginning of April, right around this area, end of March, beginning of April, right around this area, we started seeing that Bitcoin started to trade above the 200 EMA here, and ever since has been using it as a trampoline and just bouncing off of it whenever it comes to in contact with the 200. We did see it here 1, 2, 3 times, and a huge bounce off of it. We did see it retest again and huge bounce off of it. Let's measure this bounce here. That is about a 33% bounce. Let's go back and measure the prior bounce. So since the last time it touched it, all the way to this prior high here, I mean 72% plus, right? 72 plus percent on that prior bounce. And then we do see Bitcoin losing it here, regaining it right away, but then losing it again. And actually going back and retesting the 377, but actually breaking down below. And not only that, but we did have. I'll paint this. I'll have to put one of these lines here real quick. We actually I'm gonna use a horizontal trend line. We were actually using this area down here as support. We were thinking that Bitcoin was going to bounce and stay within this triangle formation, come back and retest the high again, blah, 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 keep going on this bounce back and forth until it actually got filled and then broke out. However, Bitcoin did abandon that. Two things, it broke, or actually several things here, broke the 200, broke the 377. It also exited the pitchfork channel, the bottom of the pitchfork channel, and starting to look bearish, right? And we also broke the $10,000 major psychological area here, price action, as far as price goes. And so there was a confluence of events that just were telling us, oh man, this is looking really really bearish, and it's looking like a trend reversal. And it gave us all the signs, and then gave us all the confirmation that this was a trend reversal. But it ended up being an actual bear or bull trap. It looks like it's going to be a bull trap, right? We do have to, in my opinion, close a few of these. I'm going to actually get rid of this line here. We do have to close a few 4-hour candles, at least a few 4-hour candles above the 200. We've actually closed one so far above the 200 EMA here. Right in here, we closed one above it, and we're working on the second one right now, which should be closing in about 50 minutes from now. We should get a close of this second 4-hour above the 200. If we do, then things are going to start to look more bullish, in my opinion. We could come back and retest the middle of this pitchfork that is coming along in confluence with the simple 200 right in the middle of this pitchfork channel. I do not expect a straight shot all the way up to 12,000. I do think we're going to grind it out to the simple 200 around 11.1, 11.2. Maybe have a little bit of a bounce or a little bit of a retracement, and then work its way up again to the top of this formation. But again, Bitcoin giving us all the signs and then confirming very decisively that this was a change in trend. But again, this was, in my opinion, it's definitely looking like a bull trap. Definitely recovering over the 377, closing several 4 hours on top of it, and starting to regain the not only the 30, the 21, which again, that's once we broke up into again the bottom of this pitchfork and got above the 21. I mean, Bitcoin really did not waste any time getting all the way through and up above the 30, the 21, the 100 simple here, and getting up to the 200 EMA. I mean, it did that in a matter of a couple of hours. So very, very powerful move. That's what you want to see from Bitcoin if you want to keep maintaining that same bullish posture. And Bitcoin just letting us know that, hey, things haven't changed much. Although it gave us a pretty nice scare with this dip, with this downward price action all the way down to let's see, what was the low on this one? The low was about, geez, I can't see it based on that. Let's move our chart a little bit out of the way. Here we go. Okay, so the low on this one was 9,060. All right, so it got really, really close. If we would have broken that area, then 8,500 was the next stop. So we didn't do that. We stopped at 9,060 from what this candle is telling us, and then just had a massive, massive bounce off of that. That candle alone from wick to wick. We'll just measure this. Not doing it. All right, so from wick to wick, 8% in a matter of 4 hours, right? So again, very decisive move to the upside. And just Bitcoin again letting us know that things are still okay. We're still bullish. We're still okay. I wouldn't the bullish scenario in this case would be if we do again come back down, reject from this area, not failing to get above the 55 and start closing some 4-hour candles above this area, then we would come back and retest the bottom of this descending channel formation. But if we do break through it, I mean, look at where it's coming. Where it's coming at, right around 8,900. If we do break that area, we're definitely going to go back and retest the 8,500 and fill the gap there. Again, these gaps don't have to be filled right now. I mean, this could be a fake out again, like I'm mentioning. This could be a bull trap, and it doesn't have to fill it right now. But eventually, my guess is it's very, very likely that it will. I do, in my personal opinion, don't this has nothing to do with TA or anything. in my personal opinion, I do think that it would be a good idea for us to fill it now, because if that would mean that if we leave that gap in there, at some point in the future, you know, geez, 99% of the time we come back and fill those. So it would be a scarier drop. Say that we go to 16,000. I mean, the amount of downward pressure that we would see, or we would need to go back and fill that, would be very scary. But again, I'm not holding my breath on it. I'm not putting too much weight at this point, especially since we are seeing Bitcoin having a very very nice reaction to price as of today. Again, definitely look for the next close of this 4-hour candle in about an hour. That would be 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That would be about 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time. God knows if you guys are in the eastern part of the world, you guys figure that out. So that's where we're at with Bitcoin. The RSI is on the 4-hour is definitely very bullish. We did break through the 21. We came back into the neutral zone, failed to get above it, and actually came back and retested the low side, the oversold side of the RSI. We did get out of there with plenty of conviction. We broke through the 21 exponential here on the RSI, and now we're in the bullish territory. And I do think in order for us to definitely stay within this path, and definitely say that we're that was a fake out, this was a bull trap. We do want to see the RSI maintain in the top of the RSI area here in the bullish territory, so that we can also see Bitcoin keep rising into higher territories, retest the middle of the channel at around 11,100, 11,200. That will be the next point where we want to kind of look back and reassess from there. All right. Let's take a look at the daily. The daily is actually looking like hardly anything happened. Looks unscathed in my opinion. Coming back down again on this formation, retesting the bottom in confluence with the 89 EMA. Right, this aqua looking trend line here coming down below, looking like it was coming to retest it, but it actually, I mean, textbook test of the support line down here, and just having a really nice bounce up into more bullish territory again. The RSI is just had a fresh cross to the upside, and it does look like it wants to test the 21. The 21 has been keeping the price action on the daily on the lower side of things, within the neutral zone, so not completely bearish, but we did touch the bearish control zone here at the bottom of the RSI, but then having a nice bounce off of that area and getting into the more neutral zone. We are going to come back and retest this area in order for us to be able to get to the $16,000 measured move that we were just talking about. We are going to want to see the RSI getting through the 21 exponential and getting up into the more bullish territory, like we did see back here when Bitcoin started to get in here into the very nasty bullish area, and we did see this massive price action to the upside, culminating on June 26th with the high being 13,970. So we definitely want to see Bitcoin on the daily do the same sort of thing here as we did see in late June. All right, so this again, hopefully this will play out like it's looking. Come back and retest this area, and if it does break out, the measured move will take us to about almost 16,000, 15.9 to about 16,000, which is coming into confluence with the 0.786 retracement line there. This will be major resistance. Again, if we get to that area, then expect a definite first time rejection at the first try, and let's reassess from there. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We still got plenty to go through before we get to that scenario. We still have to get to the middle of this get above this first green line that is acting as resistance here, along with the 21 on the daily and the 30 coming in confluence. If we do break through that, which should have, and we do see it here, right? We do see it here. If we go back to the 4 hour, we do see here that Bitcoin is actually struggling to get above this area here within the pitchfork. So if it does not, that will end up being a rejection. Come back and retest the 377 and possibly the bottom of this channel, right? So look out for that again. We have plenty of work to do before we can actually start talking about, first of all, hitting this first target. And if we do hit that first target, then we also have to have a retest of this second target. If we break through it again, then we can see that bigger move. All right. So hopefully, let me know if you guys are following in this, if you guys are understanding my analysis. If you don't, if you'd like me to clarify something that you're not quite understanding, definitely let me know. Leave it in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer that for you guys. Let's look at the more granular side of things, looking at the 1 hour. Let's see. Yeah, 1 hour also regained the 200 exponential here, and it is grinding it out, trying to stay above it. Um, Sometimes I do look at these sometimes because they can have some confluence, and they can also, kind of be the first ones to let us know what to expect on the more longer term of things. We did get a bearish cross back here on the hourly between the 55 and the 200. Let's see, where's okay, so right about here, July 19th, and we've just been on a downtrend ever since. On the 1 hour, we also got a confirmation of that cross to the downside right around here on the 2 hour. And again, look at the price action going down. A lot of times, we don't like to put a lot of weight on the lower time frame, golden cross or death cross or bear cross, because again, they're lower time frames. They don't tend to carry a lot of weight with them. But in this instance, both the 1 hour and the 2 hour, actually, I think the 3 hour also showed us a cross, a bear cross. We have the 55, and yeah, just recently had a cross to the downside, and so actually right here. So again, on the lower time frames, it is good to see that this move had already played out by the time the cross actually happened. Doesn't mean that it cannot have some influence on the price action, because as we did see, we did dip down a little bit lower after that, after the golden cross, or after the bear cross. We did turn down a bit more and came back and retested this bottom area support. Pretty scary. But then, having a very, very nice bounce again. And also another scary moment on the 4 hour. Earlier today, this morning, this 55 was, I mean, almost touching just right above the 200 exponential, 200 EMA here, looking like it was going to confirm that move to the downside, or that cross, the bear cross or the death cross on the 4 hour. Now, again, the 4 hour is where we start to really pay attention to things, as again, it could be a catalyst for higher time frames, and those again can be a ripple effect and can influence the higher time frames, which could definitely be a death sentence for at least for the medium time frame of things. But again, just avoiding that, thanks to this guy right here, this candle, at around, what is that? Let me make sure we're in the Phoenix time zone. Yep. Let's So right around 5 in the morning is where this candle, Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, is where this candle opened up. And thanks to this guy, we avoided a death cross or bear cross here with the 200. So definitely a good thing that the bulls defended this area here, down here, having a nice reaction again, avoiding this bear cross. So definitely a very, very scary moment. I was watching it this morning, just biting my nails, hoping that the cross would not happen. And in fact, just very, very refreshing. I took a deep breath and a big sigh of relief, finding out that we did avoid the bear cross. Yeah. So this also sort of ties in with the story. One of the one of the there is a well-renowned YouTuber by the name of Chico Crypto, and his his um, his message in prior videos. I do follow the guy to be honest. I do think he brings some interesting perspective into the cryptosphere, and he seems to be an intelligent fella. He does seem to get some things right. He really dives in deep into certain topics of manipulation or things, but they're borderline, manipulation, borderline conspiracy theorist type of videos. And in the past, he's called for Tether and Bitfinex manipulation. That anytime Bitcoin goes to have a dip or a downturn in price, um, then Tether magically prints more Tether and saves the day by pumping them into Bitcoin. But I have to say, guys, that based on this, it is a textbook formation. Again, um, a lot of times these formations don't work out, but come on, I mean, this is pretty obvious that we're retesting this support, and these are so far textbook moves, right? That TA usually catches. So, in regards to that, if you're new to the channel, I always try to bring light to these sort of nonsensical statements and things that are being thrown around there. Again, nothing personal against the guy. Like I said, I do think he's a pretty bright kid. Um, just this might be a one-off thing from him from his channel, but I really, really encourage you guys to do your own research. Not really paying attention to what is being said in that regard, um, until you actually can confirm something on your own. Don't take it for somebody else's word. Try to actually find the confirming information either way on your own, so that you can be sure you're not being taken advantage of, or you're not just believing any Bitcoin. Even myself, I mean, you guys are free to retest my theories, my opinions. What I'm talking about. I'm not always going to be right. Like I said, this isn't a channel where we tell fortune. This is a channel where we give opinions, we conversate, we exchange ideas. I've encouraged you guys so many times to please leave stuff on the comments, whether I missed something or you just want to debate or give your opinion on what your strategy is. So don't want to take a look at too many altcoins today to try and keep the video short. Although Link did have a very nice bounce here from this morning, um, only about a 32% bounce from the low. Very, very nice. This is why I keep reiterating that Link is definitely one of the top coins for 2019. Definitely one of the top projects. Has been very, very generous as far as price action and definitely performing at the top of the market. Litecoin also having a massive bounce and recovering this triangle here, recovering the bottom of the triangle, but it is currently trading right below it. It does look like it wants to actually regain that previous formation from wick to where the price to let's just do wick to wick, 46% bounce from the bottom down here at $70. Not a bad response on Litecoin. Uh, Again, it does look like it wants to retake the bottom of this triangle formation. If it does, it's already looking pretty good. It's a 4 hour. We're looking at the 4 hour time frame. It did close 4 hour candles above the 55. It's starting to look like this is a serious reaction to testing the low of 70, and it does look like it wants to work its way up into that back into that formation and ultimately test this top of the triangle here, this resistance area coming up around 111 110ish area. And if it does break through, then we can expect a big move. Again, let's try to put a measurement on this. Um, yeah, if it does break out, say around the 110ish area, we're looking at 144 possible, possibly. And look at that. I mean, geez, sometimes these things amaze me, right? How they work out. If this move pans out and it does break out of this formation, the measured move will take us to previous highs. I mean, this stuff isn't just made up, guys. This stuff is just textbook technical analysis. Again, it doesn't have to happen, but if it plays out the way it's looking, it's going to go back and retest the prior high on Litecoin around 145 area. Back in when did this happen? June 22nd. Back when Bitcoin put its ultimate high of the year for 2019 at around $14,000. All right, so that's all I got for Litecoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum had an okay day. Nothing to really be too excited about. Did fail to get on top of this bottom support area, previous support, now acting as textbook resistance. Look at that, and this is again from previous videos. So if you want to look at the previous technical analysis, you can these trend lines, I leave them there. These drawings, I leave them there for a reason, so that we can test them and retest them as time goes on. And we do see here again this bottom support area now turned into resistance. Did reject off of it on the first try. I do think it's going to come back and retry it again, especially if Bitcoin keeps going up in price. Actually, I do want to mention one last thing. I'll give you guys. I'll leave the TA session here with this inclination of mine. I was thinking about this. I was actually exercising before I did the video, and I was riding my bike. And as I was riding my bike, I said I needed, because I did de-risk based on the 55 here coming in around 10,600. I did de-risk a little bit because this area is acting as major resistance. So there is a risk there, right? And you always have to measure that. There is a risk that Bitcoin can and could possibly keep reaching for higher for higher price action into, again, the 200. This would be my next target here if Bitcoin does decide to go up. So I did de-risk, and I was thinking about this as I was riding my bike, and I said, where we have to make a decision. I did de-risk. I do expect a short retracement, nothing too drastic. I do think we could possibly come back and retest the 21 here, or the bottom of this pitchfork. But ultimately, what are we looking at? And one thing that is making me lean one side over the other is the fact that we did defend the death cross or the bear cross here between the 200 and the 55, and that has just put me over the slight edge. And I do think that we are going to go back and maybe at the very least 10.8. At the very least 10.8 would be my target. And then after that, again, 11,100, 11,200 area. So if I'll leave you with this. If I have to lean one way, I am leaning a bit more on the bull side than I am on the bear side. I do think the bear scenario is going to win out in the immediate time frame, right? Immediate time frame. Once we make another move, the next move Bitcoin makes, again, I'm leaning towards up. But then again, we're going to have to reassess from there. Okay, if we don't get a slight pullback from this area, again, try to retest. We might get a wick down to the 21, and then that area might get bought up and stabilize somewhere in the 10.5 to 10.6 area again before making another move to the upside. That again is sort of a hybrid between TA and my opinion. Don't trade my opinion, but I am leaning a little bit on the bull side. All right, so that is the end of the TA session. Again, leave your comments down below. And then the other thing I started to talk about in the beginning of the video is who benefits from people panic selling in a downward price action. We have the most recent example. This what we were just talking about here. This bull trap. Um, in this example with has what has been going on with crypto lately being in the news, right? As Bitcoin and Libra coin have been in the mouths of pretty much everybody in Congress, thus has been all over the news and media outlets, creating the essence that governments are overall feeling threatened by crypto, and thus wants to. It is creating the sentiment that governments want to ban it, or the U.S. government at least, um, which in turn creates a general fear or yeah, it's sort of a scare tactic, and people and it injects fear in the minds of people as far as the outlook in the market. Now, who understands this better than anyone out there in financial markets? That's my question to you: is who understands this better? you know Usually this is the savvy, trained, seasoned trader with heavy pockets. They will sometimes create the illusion, and I want to emphasize this. They sort of manufacture an illusion that there is a sell-off going on and the market is about to tank, like we did again. See here, this right here, which in turn will trigger people to sell based on that fear and based on what they're seeing on the charts. Now, I'm talking about the retail trader, the less sophisticated, the less experienced, less trained trader in these sort of situations. The worst thing is that they know how to paint these scenarios very slightly, and newbies and retailers end up selling the bottom every time. Every time Bitcoin dips, every time we see a sell off, which, as you know, it's the best recipe for getting wrecked, right? So please pay attention to these things. Again, I've been preaching to you guys a very, very trading 101 type of encouragement or opinion from me to you is sell the resistance, buy the support, and I put my money where my mouth is. I was telling you guys earlier, I did see the green 55 in the middle of this channel here, this green area, acting as resistance, and so I did de-risk a little bit, and this is what I'm talking about, you guys. Um, Sometimes these scenarios will play out. Um, the guys with the deep pockets will start selling and creating this sort of really fearful price action. So um, be very mindful if you do see a dump like this or a dip like this. Don't sell at the bottom. Don't if you already saw a big stretch in red candles, that's not the time to sell. That's not the time to sell. The time to sell is after a big stretch of green candles where it has hit a top, it has hit resistance, and then from there you might have a slight correction. That's the areas where you want to definitely de-risk at least, um, and uh, and not sell at these bottoms, because then you see this reaction, and I mean you're at this point very frustrated that you sold here and then price action bounces from there. I hear it all the time with people saying, you guys, I'm going to do you guys a solid. I'm going to sell right now so the price action can go up. Well, you're selling down here, obviously at the bottom of a dump. So, keep that in mind, guys. I do preach that constantly on this channel. If you don't understand that, hit me up. I would be more than happy to explain this to you further if you're not getting it. All right. So definitely stay safe, stay smart. Don't trade on sentiment. Don't trade on emotion. try to leave out your emotions and be more technical, cold-minded about it. Okay, so hopefully that works for you. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up is there is this Instagram profile where they usually give you updates and news, and it's pretty fair uh, reporting. The information is pretty useful. Gives you usually the kind of the review of the day of last day's price action, some of the bigger movers, that sort of thing. But I do want to point out that this is the kind of thing that you should just turn away and run in the opposite direction, because this is the sort of announcement or news or reporting that will get people going the wrong direction. BTC price reclaims 10,000 after U.S. lawmaker says Bitcoin can't be killed. Again, guys, you've got to be kidding me. The price bounced at the $9,000 because it is in this formation. It was we were previously thinking that it was in a triangle. Bitcoin definitely coming out and saying, "Okay, guys, I'm not trading in this stupid triangle that you're so calling about. We're gonna do this descending channel, which usually." Again, 25% of the time, 75% of the time, 25% of the time, these formations work out. 30% maybe on a good stretch. Uh, 75 to 30, 75 to what I'm trying to say here, 60 to 75% of the time they don't work out, right? But it's already looking like it does. And again, this is typical of a bullish formation. So again, if we come back and break out of this, obviously that would confirm that this is a bullish formation. This is not due. This bounce here has nothing to do with the fact that this lawmaker announced that Bitcoin cannot be killed during the last congressional hearing for Libra coin. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. I mean, it just look at it. These formations are very typical and can be easily identified, and so the price of Bitcoin is just acting within that characteristic, right? So there's no reason to say or think that yeah, these moves are tied into what people are saying in Congress or the media or this whoever might be saying this nonsense. All right, guys. So definitely stay smart. As I was saying, leave all emotion out. Stay cold-minded and stay safe out there. Hopefully, you got something in return for in exchange for your time here today at this channel. I do remind you to please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to keep abreast of all of these updates. Hit the subscribe and notification bell so you do get the announcements every time that one of these videos is uploaded. All right. Hope to see you guys on the next one and have a great night. I'll see you guys later.